Hey everyone, welcome to episode 41 of the Wheels to Walking Podcast, the podcast with a guy in a wheelchair and a guy not in a wheelchair.
What up? You're probably wondering why I'm staring off into the abyss. I'm having a flashback.
What's your flashback?
From that time I coughed at the gym earlier today and people looked at me really meanly.
How badly did you cough? Was it like a full open mouth, like spread in the cove? Or was it like did you try to cover?
I coughed into my elbow, but loogies came out. So there was like loogies on my elbow, forearm region. And I got some PTSD.
Some what?
PTSD.
Oh. But wait, so what happened? Did people look at you and give you dirty looks?
Yeah, so here's the situation. Here's the situation at hand. So my sleep apnea has been acting up a lot recently, where my ability to breathe at night, it sucks. So I'm waking up every couple of hours. I'm peeing all the time. My emotions are crazy. Like it's just like it's I got to go back to see the doctor, and I've got an appointment. But for now, what I'm doing to get my breathing right is at night before I go to bed, I spray this like anti-congestion spray into my nose, and it like opens up my airways, and it lasts until about like 9 or 10 in the morning, and then it starts to go away, and then all the mucus starts coming back. So what's happening is when I'm at the gym, the
mucus is coming back.
It's coming. So I'm like working out all hardcore, and then like I get like big fat mucusy loogies in my throat, and I start coughing. And you would think that I'm just like in the gym screaming the N-word. Like people look at me like I just murdered someone. Like I'll cough into my elbow, or I'll like cough into like a napkin or like a paper towel, or
you should maybe get like a gym towel. Like at the front, you can get gym towels and you can cough into those. So then you're like fully covering your mouth.
Yeah, that's probably more like it. Or I could be a good gym citizen and wear a mask, but I feel like no one in the gym wears a mask.
Here's my thing about wearing the mask in the gym is like, okay, so number one, you're already kind of taking a risk by like going to the gym, sort of. So I understand that there's probably people at the gym that would appreciate it if everyone wore a mask, but here's why I don't think that's a great idea. Number one, when you're in the gym, you're touching a bunch of things, right? And you're moving around a lot. So your mask is going to move. Like you wore a mask at some point in the gym.
For the first week or two I went there, I wore a mask, and it did its job, I guess, but I was always touching it.
Yeah, you're always touching it. So I'm going to end up adjusting my mask all the time, meaning my hands that have just been touching everything are now getting even closer to my face and putting those germs on my mask, which I'm breathing in. The other thing is now I want to drink water or something. I'm going to touch my mask for that reason too. And now I'm opening that back up and all these kinds of things, and I'm putting the mask back on my face. And I'm touching all these things the whole time. If I wanted to drink water without a mask, I would just unscrew my bottle, drink, and I wouldn't even have to touch my face, really. I'm just like touching the bottle.
Yeah.
So I feel like by wearing the mask in the gym, you're kind of asking to like touch your face and stuff more.
There are people that wipe down everything every time.
I wipe everything down.
Exactly. And then even
recently I've kind of been a little more lax though.
Which is funny because like right now is way worse than what it was in the lockdown, but I'm way more relaxed on it.
Here's my mentality.
Which is strange.
If I just wipe down a machine and then I go use a new machine or, new weights or whatever, and my hands, like so I come out of the bathroom, I've washed my hands, and then I'm touching machines and stuff like that. I'm wiping down the machines, which means my hands are touching the like sanitizer as I'm wiping it down because my hands are getting a little bit wet from it. And then I'm going to a new machine. If I don't like touch my face or like do anything overtly weird with it, I'm like, my hands are probably fine. Like I'm not really infecting this surface with just my hands. It's like your breath and not even your breath, you're like, spit and stuff like that. And I'm like, I'm pretty confident that I'm good.
Yeah.
There are certain things, like for example, when I'm benching, I know I'm like getting a little bit louder and I'm breathing heavier, and sometimes I'll even see like a little bit of spit fly out. I'm like, I'm gonna clean this like really well.
Because you were going like,
yeah, literally, I'm like breathing out heavy or whatever. But but anyways, that's kind of my thing on the masks, and I think everyone else kind of feels the same because a lot of people aren't wearing masks at the gym.
Yeah, I think even pre-COVID, my hygiene habits were way above most people because I wash my hands and sanitize every time I pee, which is 6 to 8 to sometimes 10 times a day, depending on what I drink and how much I drink. So the fact that I'm like washing my hands and sanitizing them all the time anyway, and keeping my nails short, and I also think about even pre-COVID, I would like pick my nose and pick my teeth a lot, but now I don't do that because
yeah.
it's like, one, it's kind of gross, and two, COVID. But it's a habit that I've been needing to break anyway. So now is like a good time to.
Dude, I'm not gonna lie. I'm definitely a nose picking kind of guy. I feel like most people pick their nose though. But like
I
some
think
people
it's
just
human,
do it in
it's
secret.
human nature. You pick your teeth,
We
you pick your
definitely know that I
nose, you
am.
pick your ears. Yes, we
AJ
definitely
said we
know. Back in the Zoom days, baby.
That's
AJ was like
hilarious.
digging for gold, like going to town.
The thing is that's weird is like I do kind of get normally like self grooming, like I'm not gonna just start like clipping my toenails or something in the middle of this. It's kind of like, hey, don't do that right now.
Like do it in private a little bit.
But it is kind of weird that like certain hygiene things are totally acceptable to do in like front of people. Like if I was to put on some hand sanitizer, you wouldn't be like, dude, go somewhere else.
But if you were to
like,
break out a
picking
Q-tip
my
and
nose
like
is
clean
like
your
a
ears
weird, yeah.
and pick your nose and pick your teeth, I don't know. It's just like do it in the bathroom, maybe. I don't know. Wash your hands.
It is
first.
weird how that's like socially unacceptable. It's very strange how certain
Yeah.
things are and certain things aren't.
Yeah, that
But-
is very strange. But yeah.
Or like, for example, if I was to just like take off my shirt right now, like we wouldn't think it's anything weird. But if we were like in somewhere else and I took off my shirt, people would be like, why the fuck does that guy have his shirt off? But if we were at the pool or the beach, it wouldn't be weird at all.
Or in a fitting room. I mean, context is everything. Sometimes
That
I'll
is so
sometimes
weird.
Sometimes I'll skip the fitting room and just try shirts on right there on the floor. Like,
We did that when we were doing the merch stuff.
yeah, I was like, I'm just gonna rip off my shirt and put it on right here. Like, why do I need to go to the bathroom? Like, oh, let me just cover up my titties. Like, who cares? It just like it doesn't matter.
I saw something the other day that was really funny that it was like some post about we need to normalize nipples and whatever. It's not fair that men can walk around topless and women can't. And there was like a comment that was like, all right, then I don't think any of you guys would have a problem with it.
No,
Take it off.
No one has a problem.
And then it's like,
go for
and then
it.
it's just like,
Well, there's certain states that toplessness isn't illegal. Like New York City is one of them. Places in LA.
I think
like,
as long as you're not sexualizing it, like if you're not trying to like cause a scene or like, illicit prostitution or anything like that.
yeah,
like,
if you just have your
you're
shirt
literally
off
just
and you're
being
walking around,
shirtless,
you
yeah.
can do what you want. But the thing is, the way society treats topless women, obviously, like I couldn't help but look, obviously, but there's definitely people that couldn't help but touch, that would holler and hoot and take pictures and record. It's like
I'd say that's a problem with the guys though, not the girls.
agreed. Yeah,
Yeah.
but if you're a girl, you're probably you already know, like, these men are just gonna. Ugh.
Yeah, no, it's a problem. You
I
couldn't
also
change
think
it
about
overnight.
like the difference between like a bikini and a bra. Literally nothing. Bras probably cover up more. But if someone has a bra on in public, you're like, she's in her underwear. But if someone has like a bikini on, it's like, okay.
Yeah, it's very, very
Like,
odd.
no one even.
Dude, I had a
notices.
weird thing with bras the other day on my Facebook. On Facebook Marketplace, I saw
Oh
that
yeah.
there was someone that was selling their like nasty like used bra for like $6 on Facebook Marketplace, and I took a screenshot and posted about it. I'm like, dude, if you buy used underwear on Facebook Marketplace, I can't be friends with you or something. And then someone commented to me, my friend Kathleen, and she was like, yeah, I thought about selling my underwear at one point, and not gonna lie, because like some girls can make like a full-time living off it. I'm like, oh, this is probably creepy dudes buying the underwear. I thought it was like literally people that were struggling and like, I can't afford brand new underwear. I need to go buy this $6 bra on Facebook Marketplace. Like I didn't know what the thought process was, but I'm like, this makes sense now.
Used underwear is actually a thriving market, and the only reason I know this is like 2 or 3 years ago.
I bought a lot of it.
I want to say more like 3 years ago, I got interested and like looked into like used underwear. I was like,
Why?
I forget some girl I was talking to about how like she has a bunch of underwear and she wants to sell it for a lot of money, blah blah blah. And I like looked into it. There's literally like private websites for trading, and it's like guys will be like, if you wear it for a week with not washing, it's worth more money. If you like work out,
they want the like stench. and
if
stuff.
you work out in it, it's worth more money. If you have your period, it's worth more money. Like there's it in different cuts and different styles, and if you like take pictures of you wearing it and include it in the shit, like there's so much to it. I mean, it's biohazard. It really is if you think about it. And or even girls, if they while they're wearing it, that is like and you can sell them like $200, $300, $400, $500 depending on the person, depending on the model, depending on the underwear, and depending on what like extras and bonuses are included like in it. It's very interesting, and I was so intrigued. It was even like, dude, I want to start up my own thing. Like I want to like get like all these friends of mine, because I have tons of friends that are girls, and be like, hey, you want to low key make like a shit ton of money.
It's so weird, though, dude.
It never panned out, obviously.
I don't know where this is, but I have seen this. That I want to say it was in Japan. They literally have vending machines where you can buy used panties. Mm-hmm. You can just walk up and like, beep beep beep.
I mean, Japan is vending machine culture, though. You can get like full restaurant meals out of a vending machine. It's very strange.
Yeah, that's always the weirdest thing at airports. You see like Best Buy vending machines where you can buy like iPhones and like headphones and stuff, like Beats. And I'm like, who's gonna spend like $400 in a fucking vending machine?
Someone who wants it right now, who's stuck in an airport.
And I realize, I'm like, yeah, people who fly all the time, and maybe their Bose headphones just broke and they need a new pair of headphones right then or whatever. I'm like,
or AirPods
or a new phone or whatever. Yeah. But anyways, yeah, that is a very strange market. But anyways, so on Facebook Marketplace, I clicked on that bra picture, and then more things started popping up, more
Facebook
bras.
Marketplace.
So then
you got retargeted for bras.
So then I started clicking them just to be funny, and now my entire Facebook Marketplace is just bras. Like I could pull it up right now, and there's probably bras. Let's see.
I don't know.
Yep, literally front page, panties and bras. Corsets, women's clothing, more bras. There we go. Local sellers. Let's go, baby. Local shipping.
I feel like if that girl, like whoever girl is selling them, better not meet up with whoever's buying them.
By the way, these are the ugliest pants I've ever seen. They have they're ripped jeans, but the rips.
Does she have balloons in her glute area? What's going on?
That's just her ass, dude. Her ass is just crazy.
Surgical.
They've dyed. I'll take a screenshot of this so we can post it in the podcast. All the distressed parts of the jeans are dyed yellow. It's very odd. I just took a screenshot so we can put it on the screen. Anyways, sorry, that was distracting. But yeah, so now Facebook thinks I like to buy women's underwear, which is cool, I guess.
Yeah, on the same topic of kind of like nudity and gyms and nipples and stuff like that, is I've even noticed that like if I work out outside at the gym, you know how there's the green space outside, I can take off my shirt, no one blinks. But if I do it inside, people will give me looks again. It's very strange. It's like, it's all contextual. It's like, oh, you're outside, be naked. Oh, you're inside, not allowed to be naked.
Huh.
It's just which again, don't care. I'm going to wear my shirt on the inside because it's a refrigerator in that freaking gym.
It really is, dude.
If you're not working out, that gym is kind of miserable. Like I've been in there.
It's cold.
I've been in there like doing stretching or like waiting for Jaleel to wrap up a workout, and I'm like, what the fuck is happening? Like I'm so cold. Even the metal in my bones, I feel like I'm freezing.
You should wear a temporary hoodie.
Yeah, I know. If I wore a temporary hoodie, I'd be so warm and so cozy. You know, I've been wearing hoodies to. Not to bed, but like pre-bed.
I love wearing hoodies to bed, dude. Yeah. Especially with nothing underneath.
Yes.
Just the hoodie.
Yes. And I noticed that
is comfy as hell.
Oh, sad. I did it again. Whatever. I'll get it later. But you know how like the print on the hoodie is like when your hands are in front of you, palm down, the temporary is like at the top. But I noticed that like when you spin your hand, the temporary thing stays in the same spot. So when your palm up, it's like in the right spot, but when you're palm down, it's very much in the wrong spot. It's an interesting dichotomy where
it's actually kind of good then, because then it's like kind of visible anyways, and then it's also still visible to yourself when you look at it. It's weird because we tried to get the temporary hoodie to have the logo on the exact spot where Richard has it, and we changed the spot like a couple of times to try to get it right, and like it never felt like it was like perfect, but that's just because when you're wearing a hoodie and you move your arm, the hoodie doesn't move, your arm does. So it's like, it kind of makes sense. But anyways, but speaking of merch, this week is the last week to get these new temporary sand dune
we're in the
shirts.
last 3 days.
Yeah.
So you're gonna hear this on Thursday. It's gonna be done
Saturday.
Saturday
Saturday will be the last day you can get it. Hopefully you've already gotten it, but we're doing like a pre-order type situation. So it'll be limited edition. So the amount that gets ordered, that's how many we're making basically. Like we're getting them printed on demand so that it'll just be a limited run. So these will be really cool because you'll be able to have this shirt and people won't be able to get it later.
Yeah, and it's not for everyone. And we kind of branded it as a workout shirt, but it's way more than a workout shirt.
I mean, we're not working out right now.
Exactly. But there's and the color's not for everyone. Let's be real, it's not for everyone. But the messaging is really good. The branding isn't as big and as bold. It's more mature. It's more refined. And you know, what's cool is you buy one of these, you get the original collection half off. You can get a half off a hoodie. You can get a half off a regular t-shirt. If you buy 2 of the Sand Dune, you can get 2 hoodies or 2 shirts half off. Like you can literally get 2 Sand Dune shirts, a hood, an old, and the hoodie and the shirt from the old collection for under $100.
So you get 4 things?
You get 4 things for like $97.50. I
Dude, you
swear
are
to
dropping
God,
your phone every 2 seconds.
I don't know what's going on, but
that phone does not like you. Dude, you know what's going to be cool that I thought of? In like 3 or 4 years, we'll be doing some sort of like meetup or something like that. And we'll see someone with a Sand Dune t-shirt and be like, oh, you're one of the fucking OGs. That was like one of our first shirts ever. Yeah, I love that type of stuff.
Yeah, and then even like the workout video, dude, like there's it's so many positive comments. Like so many people are so stoked on it, and like everyone from I've never worked out before and every minute I'm counting as a victory to I work out every day and holy hell this was hard. You know, like it gets super intense, it gets the sweat up, you know, your heart beats racing, you feel really good afterwards. Like it's a solid workout. And you know, like the Sand Dune merch is definitely, or the Sand Dune drop is definitely connected to that video, but there's so much more to it, you know? Yeah,
exactly. And even some of our friends that we gave the merch to, like our friend Ian, he was like so stoked on it.
Dude.
And he loves fashion and clothes and stuff like that. And he was even like, dude, you underplayed these like hella hard.
Yeah.
Like I'm not even just saying this is like my new favorite shirt.
Yeah, there's another guy in California, another OG Wheelie Boy named Nate, and he's like a Supreme junkie. And he put it on and was like, okay, I see what you're doing. Like, he's like, the fit is dope. The length is dope. He's like, they're soft as a motherfucker. He's like, these are nice.
Yeah, dude. And that's the thing is like when a lot of people that do merch, I think they just will go with some sort of option that they don't necessarily really care about the design that much. They don't really care about the garment that much. They're just kind of like, oh yeah, merch. Like if you want to buy something with my name on it, like there's some YouTubers that I've seen, it's literally just like Richard Corbett or something on the shirt, and it's like that's so lame.
Or would just say like wheels to walking. Yeah,
and it's like that's not what we were really trying to do. So yeah. And if you're confused, like I said, we did like a first edition so that we could have some, and we gave some to some of our friends and stuff like that. But that's why you're seeing some people on social media with it already. But if you're ordering it this week, it's going to be a couple weeks until you get it because, like I said, it is a limited edition thing, and we've got to get them ready to go and everything, but we'll turn them around pretty quick.
And we'll explain it in Saturday's video. So just watch Saturday's video, and there's a little brief explainer at the beginning.
Yes. Speaking of Saturday's video, it's a cooking video.
And I did end up making the pizza and eating the pizza.
Oh yeah,
last
did
night.
you film any of it at all?
I didn't.
You fucking idiot. No, I'm just kidding. Also, we never shot the thumbnail, which we need to do today.
Yeah, thummy boy.
We always forget about the thumbnail, but
which is arguably potentially one of the most important things in all of YouTube is getting the thumbnail right, and we're always we always fucking forget.
Even if it takes like the least amount of time, kind of, but it's like the most important, really. But it's a cooking video. We made like what 5 meals or something, 5 recipes,
4 meals, 2 snacks, or maybe 5 meals, 2 snacks. I don't remember already.
But we were so fucking full by the time we made the last
by meal 4. We literally like pretend threw it in the trash. Because we were like, we can't eat this. And then we didn't even cook meal 5 because it was like, dude, we're going to pop. Like, we're literally...
Because we didn't want to waste it. And it was like, I really want to eat this. But at the same time, I don't want to really reheat it later. So it's just like, we'll just prepare it and then we won't necessarily have to cook it. But that was a really fun video because I love eating.
Yeah, me too. And it's definitely going to be another one of these videos that I don't think a ton of people will watch because most people don't give a shit about cooking and eating or whatever.
I don't know, dude. The cooking video with Allie did well.
Yeah, but that was because there was a girl in it, and it was about how to cook in a non-adaptive kitchen. Ours was more like the meals, but it also does show how to cook in a non-adaptive kitchen as well. Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. There's a lot of personality in it, which you guys love. You guys love it when I do more personality-driven stuff.
Yeah, and the thing is, too, like, even though it's not showing, like, how to cook in a wheelchair-adapted kitchen or anything like that, your kitchen's not wheelchair-adapted either, so they're going to get some tips like that.
Facts.
Also, I already started editing the video, and there's some pretty funny moments that I already made into little clips.
There was one point where I was like, if you're not subscribed, I hate you. And then I realized I couldn't really say that.
No, the best part was when you couldn't open the bacon.
And then it happened again when I was making the pizza. I was
like, dude, I know. It's amazing. You're like, I like to put some bacon on it to add some flavor. And then you're like, fucking bitch. Like, it's so funny. You guys are going to like die laughing when you see the video.
I swear we need to make it like an uncensored Patreon tier. That's just.
Oh, that's a good idea.
That's just like bloopers of me being like, fuck this shit. God damn it.
That's actually something kind of interesting. So we hit 100 patrons this week, which is really cool.
We've been going since the start to try to get 100. And the thing is, like,
on Patreon, you can set goals, and that was our first goal, was to get 100 patrons. Yeah. So and that's really exciting.
And Patreon ebbs and flows, meaning every month you might gain 5 and lose 3, or gain 10 and lose 7, or like everyone's up and down. It ebbs and flows, and everything from $1 to.
I love it when it ebbs.
But I've even been getting a lot of feedback recently that people are like, hey, I want bigger tiers. Like there's a $1, a $2, and a $5. And a lot of people are buying the $5 tier, which is awesome. But I'm getting messages from people that are like, hey, I want a $10, I want a $20, I want a $25.
Well, if you think about it, it's like a lot of people, man, are out there listening and they're like, dude, I'd be like really, really sad if you stopped uploading. And like, to be honest, the thing that would prevent us from like stopping this is if we just couldn't financially keep it up. And I mean, we had a really long chat about that on Monday. Like, there's a lot of, for lack of a better phrase, like money problems with Wheels to Walking right now. Like we're
problem is not the word. I would say challenges,
frustrations and
difficulties, frustration. And it's a flow thing.
And like Patreon is just a great way that it's literally just like, yo, I don't need anything. We get the perks from you get the perks on Patreon, but it's like a more direct just support rather than just watching the videos and like buying merch and whatever. Cause you can only do that so much, but Patreon is a commitment, and it's like, yo, I'm committed to like supporting you because I think that your work is really valuable as a creator, and that's really special.
Yeah, I think that's something that we could really take the time to hardcore revamp and start promoting more. Because if you look at how successful things like OnlyFans is going, if you look at things like Logan Paul's Maverick Club, like that's getting really successful.
I mean, we don't know the numbers behind it, but yeah.
Correct. And then
there could be like 10 people in there. We don't know.
And I don't know. You just like start to see that a lot of people are doing this like perk-based, subscription-based, because what it does, it feels like ownership. Like you feel like you're a part of the brand, you're a part of the mission, you're the one who's helping other people. And especially if you've been helped yourself, like if Wheels to Walking has helped you, you're like, oh damn, I want to make sure that like everyone gets this. So
totally.
I think honestly, like that could be something that you and I could really sit down and spend a whole day thinking about, like,
and we'd love to hear your suggestions of like what you guys would even want in more tiers of Patreon, like, because we try to brainstorm, especially in the beginning. There were some things that we got rid of that we were like, this could be a cool perk, but I don't know if anyone will care. Like,
and
there were certain
that
things
happened in the $10 tier. We had a monthly live stream and no one was showing up to it. So I would spend 30 minutes talking to myself.
Do you think that was because there just wasn't that many people on Patreon yet?
On that tier, there was, I mean, yeah, that's probably it.
Because people are showing up to your lives now, you know?
But out of 80,000, 100. You know what I mean?
That's true, but it's not necessarily scheduled. You're just popping in and just saying,
I mean,
you have to be available right then and there, doing nothing to be able to just jump in.
And
know.
it's Sundays at 9:00. It's pretty consistent. Like,
Yeah, I mean, you've never officially said that
or announced it
anywhere.
But the people in the stream,
and you don't like set a
know.
premiere or anything like that. Like no one would know.
No
one would know unless they've been paying attention.
I
really
don't even
closely.
I don't even put enough effort to make a custom thumbnail. I just take a picture of like a pose or something that I'm currently doing. Like
Matthew was like, I don't think Richard knows that just the first frame of the video is the thumbnail. And I go, oh no, he knows. He took that picture. And he goes, oh.
Yeah. Yep.
He chose that picture on purpose and said, that's good.
That's good enough. Yeah, that's decent
Well,
enough.
the thing is you don't keep them up afterwards. It's not like you're leaving it up as a video, so it's fine.
That's one of the things. So one of the things about lives to me is they are live. They're not meant to be consumed later. Like, I don't like the idea of people watching replays. Like, I think that's silly because, like, why would you watch a replay? You can't engage. You can't respond.
It's only cool for a replay if the live is, like, information-based.
Yeah, if it's like...
If you're making some sort of announcement or you're, like, talking about news things or things like that.
promoting a product.
Like, I've seen
something.
on Facebook Live a lot of times, people will like, yo, replay squad, let me know in the comments what you think about this or whatever. The other cool thing about doing a live when it's not actually live is you can then, like, engage with people in the comments later. Like, I know sometimes people do, like, live presentations.
They just mean
but it's
recorded
been pre-recorded.
live. Yeah.
It's been pre-recorded, but then they are live in the chat responding to people's questions so they can actually answer, but the presentation's not stopping.
And, like, moderating and...
Exactly.
And figuring out what's going on. Yeah, but...
It's a good way to sell things, actually.
The thing with the Patreon tiers is now that we got 100, I feel like that's a good enough place to start diversifying and re-announcing, and I think we might...
And adding, like, a merch tier.
Yeah, I mean, that's a
We were going to have that.
And that's a possibility. I mean, there's so many angles and so many... There's a lot to be investigated. There's a lot to be done. There's a lot of potential. Because, I mean, even I think about it, like, honestly, like, if we create our... like our merch line, like, and then we also have Patreon, like those two by themselves, depending on how much time and energy and effort and promotion and like advertising we do around just those two things can be sustainable enough to run a whole channel. But
Agreed.
But you have to like really make it robust, because our frustration, and at least my frustration, because I'm on like the sales side of things, is getting people to pay to play. Like we have built a direct to consumer, over 100,000 people direct to consumer. I mean, like 110,000, and I will have
on TikTok. You'd add another 130, something.
So it'd be 250,000. But we don't even mess around. We don't even mess around with TikTok. So I will have great conversations with brands. I will talk about like how we can do advertising stuff together. You know, I'll get them on a call. I'll send them an email that has like quotes and like examples, and we'll have conversations on the phone. And I go through this whole sales thing, and they're like, oh yeah, sounds great. Sounds interesting. And then they don't bite, because I had to teach them from top to bottom what we've created, why we created, what it's important, how valuable it is, yada, yada. But all they see is the numbers. They're like, oh, well, podcast, that costs this much, and a commercial integration costs this much, and a dedicated upload costs this much. Can't afford that. Bye. Like, they don't even stop for 2 seconds to think. And I'm undervaluing ourselves by like 30 or 40%. Like, I'm cutting them a fat deal, but they don't even see that as a big deal. They just see it as something expensive. So I'm getting like mad to the point where I'm like, even people that run companies that are our homies don't want to bite. They just don't want to bite. And so I'm like, okay, how can I finesse this? How can I figure out a way for this to be a no cost upfront for both of us? You know, like, how can I figure out a way for us to do it? But tracking that is complicated, and there's just like, it's such a mess. It's so frustrating. And that's why we're doing our best to kind of focus on what we're in control of and what we can do, and what incomes that we can bring in on our own without like asking other people for money or like asking for permission.
The weird thing too about the like pay to play type situation where you're making people pay to access like certain content, it's kind of strange, because I almost think in certain aspects, I think that in the long run, the pay what you want, but it's free anyways, kind of pays off for a lot of reasons. Like, for example, like Doug DeMuro, he started a car bidding website where you can bid on cars. It's called Cars and Bids, literally. And
Not sponsored.
he found out that the cars that actually end up fetching a greater amount than they even anticipated was if they put no reserve on it. So it's a blind auction. So you don't know what. So like, let's say I'm selling this car and I go, okay, I don't want to put the reserve at 0. Because what if it sells for like $500? Then I'm fucked.
So it's like a
you put a reserve
$65,000 car, and you put a $50,000 reserve on it, and people are like,
to make sure that you get your money, you put a reserve on it. So at the end of the auction, if it doesn't reach the reserve, no one gets the car.
Anyone who's done eBay knows about this. If you've done eBay, you know about this.
The thing is but on eBay, it tells you what the reserve is because it's a starting price.
But you can't have no reserves.
Yes, but on eBay, it's the starting price is the reserve. You can't put a blind reserve on it.
Oh, I didn't know that.
It starts at this, so that just becomes the first bid, and then you just might not get any bids.
So if they start a 0 bid,
maybe I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's how it works because I've done eBay before too, and I don't think you can set a blind reserve, like because I don't think you can just like lowball a price.
I used to sell a ton on eBay, and the no reserve move works.
The no reserve move works
because what you can do is,
oh, this item is selling for sure, so I'm not gonna be wasting my time putting down a bid on something that might not even sell. Because the thing is with the car thing, it's like I'm gonna put on a bid on this car, and I know that when that timer reaches 0, that car's being sold to someone. But when it has a reserve, that car might still go back to the owner and no one gets it.
And even if there's no reserve, you can always pull the auction before. I
don't know.
It's kind of.
I think once you commit to a thing like that,
it's kind of shady.
But anyways, the thing is with the parallel that I'm trying to make is like, I think a lot of creators just put their stuff out for free and go, hey, if you like what I'm doing, just support me and pay whatever you feel like is fair, whatever value you've gotten. Because the hard thing about keeping stuff behind a paywall is people don't know what's behind the paywall until they're willing to make that monetary commitment. And money is the highest form of commitment. Like, you can't really ask people for much more than straight up money. So it's like, you don't know what you're missing out until you pay, but you won't know what you're missing out until you pay.
And
you know what I mean?
And I think that what you do is you promote what's behind the paywall in your free stuff. Like, for example, I saw...
hey, my censored butthole is here, but if you want to see my uncensored butthole, you can pay $5.
Yeah, like Mike and...
Subscribe to my OnlyFans.
Mike and Mara did a Q&A, and at the end of it, he was like, a lot of this stuff can't exist on YouTube, so I'm going to put it on another place, and if you want to go watch it there.
On his own? Does he have an OnlyFans now? The thing is, OnlyFans doesn't necessarily mean like porn. Like, you can literally put anything.
Cardi B decided that she's going to open an OnlyFans only for addressing drama. She goes, I will only address drama on my OnlyFans.
Wow, that's kind of genius.
Yeah, so she partnered up with him and struck a deal that she's like, listen, because she used to always go on Instagram Live and just shout, and she's like, I'm just gonna go on my OnlyFans and shout, and if you want to,
genius.
And if you want to hear it, pay $5.
And the thing about OnlyFans is you technically have the right to like DMCA takedown anything, because if it's paid content, that's like you re-uploading like a Netflix stream, because like OnlyFans will protect you, and they watermark everything.
So if someone decided to try to
re-upload
download
it to
and
YouTube,
yeah, they would.
You can do a DMCA takedown.
Nice.
Like legally.
But I think
that's why it's really hard to find like OnlyFans stuff on like Pornhub or anything, because like literally you can register it with them or whatever. Like, that's why it works, because you'd be like, why wouldn't like 1 or 5 people just buy it and just re-upload it somewhere else? And it's like, that's not really how it works.
Yeah, but I think the strategy we've been wanting to do from the beginning was like a combination of like crowdfunding our own stuff and like, no, it was honestly crowdfunding and like sponsor deals, but we're finding it almost impossible. I'm finding almost impossible, specifically in the wheelchair/disability company communities. These people are ancient, meaning they barely even understand email marketing, and magazine marketing to them is future, and they don't even understand Facebook ads or social media marketing. So that to go into like influencer marketing, and especially at our cost, we're not cheap. Like, and I'm not the one who's making these numbers. I'm literally uploading our YouTube channel analytics to a website, and the website spits out a number that's like, you're worth between this and this. And I'm like, cool, I'm going to take the lowest number and minus it by 20% and I'm going to pitch that number to people. And everyone's like, whoa, 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 whoa. What do you think? We're made of money? And I'm like, you want customers, right? How much do you pay for customers? And it's just like, it's so,
well, I think people,
I feel like I'm I don't make videos. I'm not creative anymore. I feel like I've turned into like a sales guy, and I'm having a hard time, not even convincing these people, because convince is the wrong word, but it's like, by you joining, you're going to get a ton of customers. You're going to be helping this mission, and you're going to be helping this community grow and be more robust. So in the end, you're helping the people you want to purchase your items. Why would you not want to pay for that? And it's like there's a measurable ROI.
It's hard because people aren't used to paying.
Get it?
People aren't used to paying for word of mouth.
And social media is
kind of
word
what
of mouth.
Influencer marketing is. It's just one person with a really powerful mouth. And like,
but
there's some companies.
But think about how much money we've spent in order to make that mouth as big as we've made it.
I'm not disagreeing. I 100% know what our value is. I'm just saying, like, in general, people just don't understand the idea of like putting But
you know who does understand it? Our listeners. People that are listening. We got a ton of patrons on here right now. People that watch, because after the workout video, we got quite a few people grabbed the temporary collection. I mean, not a huge amount, but a decent amount of the sand dune drop. But we got
a lot of
patrons, and I was like, hell yeah! Like, that's cool to me. Like, I would much rather get a $5 patron that lasts for a year than I would get a single sand dune drop once.
Yeah.
You know, like,
also it's more money, but yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Like, and not only it's more money, it's more community, it's more engagement, it's more ownership, it's more following, and that's where I think that we could potentially like really, really, really like think, like rebrand, revamp, retalk.
Let us know in the comments.
Yeah.
Let us know in the comments down below what you think we should do on Patreon. Do you want to see Richard's butthole? Let us know down.
I'll show you my skinny legs.
Oh God.
You want to see my little legs? I might make them spaz for you.
That's like Akbar. He's got little legs. You got little legs.
It's fact. I'm 4'3" sitting down. That's one of the reasons why I wanted a munchkin. I'm a short person. I wanted a short cat. Like, why not? No, but what's hard is when I bend over to pet him. He's so low. It's kind of difficult.
That's funny, dude. You know what I've been thinking about recently?
What's that?
How easy it would be to just to just beat you up.
I'm sorry. I knew that was coming. That's why I'm already laughing.
This is all I'd have to do to beat you up. Just like come to the side and just push you over. And then maybe like kick you,
or
dude, that'd be mean. To kick you, bro. Oh,
think about if you're from behind me and you kicked me like a sweeping kick, like
my head was
if I came from behind,
just grab your shoulders and just poof,
and flipped me backwards. Yeah,
dude, I feel like that's probably a big reason why a lot of wheelchair users probably feel very vulnerable.
And they carry pack, dude. You'd be shocked at how many motherfuckers in wheelchairs pack heat, dude.
It'd be pretty easy too, because like
you can conceal that shit anywhere, dude. You can hide that shit.
That's
anywhere.
Why they pat you down so hard in the airport, dog.
Probably.
That's what they feel in your little. That's why they pat down your booty.
Well, you can also put like drugs and stuff in your cushion. You know, like think about that. Like put.
Yeah. I mean, you could put all kinds of stuff. Yeah.
There's a lot of crazy, man. Remember when we're coming back from Texas, and I had gunpowder all over me from shooting.
Oh yeah.
And they swiped my chair, and like the alarm went off, and they're like, "We got to do a more thorough pat down. We've got some explosive detection." I was like, explosive detection? I was like, oh, I was shooting shotguns all weekend, so that does make sense.
There was literally shotgun dust all over you.
Yeah, but all you have to do is stand beside me, punch me in the head, and then flip me out of my chair.
Honestly, though, anyone that could get sucker punched pretty easily,
the ability to assault me is very high. And
the getaway. I just punch you, and then I just run away. What are you going to do?
Okay, up a hill. Couple of things. Briskly walk up a hill. Go up some stairs. Like there's so many ways to escape. Like I think that's why I have a lot of girlfriends, like friends that are girls, is because
I'm gonna tell Jalila.
They are 0% threatened by me because I literally cannot attack them or hurt them. Huh. Like I think most girls have a natural defense.
You could hurt them, but I don't think that you'd be very successful in like detaining them.
They would just have to walk away or run away. Like it would be so simple to like evade an attack. And like
I know how you could hurt them real bad. you could break their heart.
Oh, or I could run over their toes, maybe. That would hurt. Yeah, but I've actually had that question asked a lot. A lot of people are like, do you pack? Do you conceal? And I'm like, no.
Hell yeah, brother, I pack.
And they're like, what would you do to
Pack some dip in my lip, motherfucker.
Now, listen, get some backer.
Listen here, regular can of backer. No, says I.
I like that long cut wintergreen. All right. I remember the first time I dipped, I was like on a jet ski, and it was
I've never done
it. Don't.
You were on a jet? What?
I was on a jet ski.
Of all the times to try dip for the first time on a jet ski,
I puked everywhere, dude.
Dude,
I fucking
jet ski?
puked everywhere.
It's impossible. Well, I take it back. I've had a bad time on a jet ski, but it's really hard to have a bad time on a jet ski.
If you're traveling on a jet ski, you can have a bad time.
Yes.
Like if you're trying to go from point A to point B, or if the water's way too rough.
That's what I was just about to say. Me and Matthew.
You did it in the fucking ocean, though.
Matthew and I were in the ocean, and it was
wavy.
The thing is I think if either one of us were by ourselves on the jet ski, but the thing is we were sharing a jet ski, and that made it hard because the back person is just getting blasted in the just
your taint,
and
just
I'm
getting
just
smashed.
just smashing my taint, and yeah. Anyways, but. Wait, so why did you try a dip on a jet ski?
Bruh, I remember it was like fucking apple flavored pouches or something. I don't remember.
Like snus? Like snus?
No,
things?
it was proper like Skol or some shit. I don't remember. But I was with a friend and we were so underage. Like I don't know how he got it, but we went to like his grandma's like lake house and they had a jet ski and he was like, "Yo, dude, we need to try some of this." And I was like, "Really? Okay, let's try it." And so like my first time, like I had smoked cigarettes before, so I was kind of used to nicotine, but like not that kind of nicotine. So I like threw it in there and I was like, I'll be good. And all of a sudden I started like hallucinating and getting all wide-eyed and like,
You were driving?
And then I got like nauseous and then I literally like stopped and like puked on a dead fish that was like floating in the water. I was like, bah! And I like ripped that thing out and then he was like, "Are you okay, dude?" I was like, "Fucking puked everywhere, man." And like Apple, anything after that was just terrible.
Except you worked at Apple.
Yeah.
After that moment, I couldn't look at an iPhone the same.
Yeah, but I remember that was stupid.
That's so funny. You know what's hilarious? In my high school, so many people dipped that I knew. And I never did it because I only ever heard like people like there was never that positive of an upside. Like people were like, "Yeah, it feels good," but I'm like, okay, so does a massage. Like why do I need to just be like so does drinking a Gatorade or something? Like how good does it?
Yeah.
You know, and then there was always so many negatives. Like people were always like, "Yeah, first time I tried it, I fucking puked." I'm like, so why would I want to try it for the first time? Like. Doesn't sound fun.
I was just a victim of having too much freedom at too young of an age. Like
yeah.
I remember first.
I mean, it's kind of the same as like cigarettes, right? Because like
I had my first cigarettes at like 10, dude. Like
really,
I remember going out into so I didn't go to school. I was homeschooled, and you know who else is at home during the day when their parents are at work are the bad kids. So me and the bad kids would always hang out, like the ones that got fucking ISS or OSS, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like out of school suspension, like the bad kids. And we'd be like, "Hey man, out in that field, there's like a manhole. Let's pry it open and go crawl in it." And then we would like crawl in it and be like, here's the cigarettes. And I'm like, okay. He's like, "I stole these from my dad," or like, you know, whatever. And so like I was doing that, and that's how I got introduced to weed and how I got introduced to coke and like how I got introduced weed. Probably like 15, maybe.
That's not too bad.
Maybe younger. I can't remember. And then like,
but I did coke when I was 9. I'm just kidding.
They're literally like everything from like dip to like cigarettes to like weed to like some of the harder drugs to drinking. Like I always had access to it because I was always around bad kids. And also like my mom had almost no leverage on me because I made all my own money from a young age. So she couldn't really like ground me or like take things away from me because they were mine. You know, it was just like, it was a very, very weird power dynamic in that house. But, you know, I've been pretty much like some kind of addict over something my whole life. And currently it's caffeine, you know. But, you know, I remember when I went into rehab, I was like dipping and vaping and smoking and on like every pill unimaginable and on like sleeping stuff and like I remember dead ass, I kid you not, like one of my techniques, and this is literally something that I it's like so real, is like I would go get like NyQuil or like Unisom or like Benadryl or like nausea medication, like anything that would fuck me up. Like I would get from a pharmacy, like just a regular store. I would go there and just like take massive
Did you like
amounts of it.
sniff glue or anything?
I don't think
paint?
I don't think I did that. No, I was more to downers than I was into uppers. Although I did take uppers for quite a while, but it's so strange, and like now that's why I'm like always like super cautious over like everything, that I'm like I'm fine with caffeine, but even then sometimes I'm like I'm taking it a little too far because like I'm relying on this.
You're like injecting caffeine or like taking caffeine pills and stuff.
I've done that before, like and then even like I don't have like, I used to take like prescription sleeping pills even after I was clean, but then I stopped taking them because like they were just like I couldn't wake up in the morning. And now if I ever need to get like some extra sleep, I'll take like a muscle relaxer, which is the same stuff I take when I'm in pain, and I really don't take that much of them. It's like hardly none. And even then, I don't want to do it too many days in a row because I'm like,
It'll lose its potency.
like I'm getting reliant on this. Like I don't want this. Yeah, it's just super weird. But like my whole life, I've always been like addicted to something. But luckily now my addiction is like to progress and to like advancement and to like health and
Addicted
fitness.
to the game.
Sure.
Addicted to the gains.
And kind of
No.
this is totally off topic but on topic. But like I've realized recently that my measuring stick for success for certain things is wrong. Like I've got the wrong measuring stick for certain levels of success. And like, because I've been really frustrated, like over the past 6 months, I mean, rightfully so, getting hit by a car plus Corona, but even like the levels of success in certain areas, like I might be counting the wrong numbers, if you look at like YouTube success, it's like views and like comments and like money and like those are cool, but like I'm more interested in like what people are reaching out to me being like, hey, you've helped me so much. But recently that's been like on a decline because no one's like out and about getting hurt. There's not a lot of new people getting spinal cord injuries right now.
Yeah, that's a weird phenomenon, actually.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, we're kind of bummed because it's like, oh man, there's not very many new people. I mean, and that's not to say like if you're a new person that just found Wheels to Walking, like we're not discounting you, but it's like, it's a lot less new people than last year this time.
Yeah. And then I even think about like, so the first merch launch was like a huge success, but the system we set up eventually failed, so we had to set up a new system. And this next launch, the Sand Dune launch, is our system that we set up that we're operating completely. And the numbers are not necessarily where I want them to be, and I was kind of bummed out about that. I was like, man, blah, 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 blah. But the truth is that even if we sold none, just the fact that we have set up our entire fulfillment operation is a success. Mm-hmm. The fact that we have our own fulfillment operation is like dope, because then we can now put whatever we want into that fulfillment operation, not just clothes. Like we can do whatever.
We can sell all kinds of
we
things.
can sell whatever,
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think a lot about even public perception. It's like on the cover of a couple of magazines and, all these subscribers and, like a Shorty Award and like a podcast and like, all these like external vanity metrics I don't count those. I don't care about them, but everyone else counts them.
Perception is reality.
Yeah. But like the ones I count, I have a hard time with perfectionism. I want to be the best now. I want to do something one time and it be perfect. And if I set a goal for something and I land under that goal because I have an expectation, I am then disappointed. But if I were to remove that expectation from the goal, then I would be very happy. Like because I had an expectation, like in my mind, I was like, I expect this video to perform this way. I expect this amount of patrons. I expect this amount of merch. I expect this. I expect this. I expect this. And then like it didn't work out. And I was like, oh, okay, so now I'm bummed, but how can I meet that expectation? So then I've been like experimenting with like Facebook ads and like putting a lot of time and energy and effort into that. And even still, like it's not returning the way I wanted to return. So I'm getting like more frustrated. Like it's this weird thing where I'm like, I'm putting in all this effort, which is good. I'm glad that I'm learning it. I'm glad that I'm putting in effort. I'm glad we're doing all these things, right? I mean, even like all the conversations I've had with all these people and all these brands and all these companies, and it finally gets to the point where it's time for the pitch meeting and then it just doesn't work out. I'm like, I've wasted so much time. Fuck.
Yeah, but sales is all about is literally all about getting no's.
I mean, everything is all about failing and getting no's and whatever. But it's like
try to get as many no's as possible because you know that eventually you're gonna get a yes.
Yeah, and I guess my issue is like I want everything to be a 10 out of 10 or at a minimum a 9.5 out of 10. Everything that I do, I want excellence. And if it's even like an 8 or an 8.5, I'm bummed out, which is bad. That's bad. I shouldn't be measuring things that way because if it works, period, I should be excited. If it's a 5 out of 10, I should be like, dope, we're at a 5 out of 10. Not, oh, it's only a 5 out of 10. Oh, we halfway suck. You know, it's like, I don't know. I've been realizing a lot that like, because I've been so like wrapped up in my own head and so consumed with what I'm doing, like I haven't had a chance to like zoom out and like look at how I'm measuring things and realizing like what is successful or what is not successful. And like a lot of my frustration, a lot of my discontent has been coming from just like things out of my control not meeting the expectations that I set as if I have control over them. If that makes any sense. Like from like even like I'll use a sports analogy like baseball. Like I can train 40, 50 hours a week on the perfect swing, but it all depends on game day. It depends on the crowd and the pitcher, right? Like my swing could be perfect, but depending on what ball's thrown at me, depending on what the crowd is doing, depending on where the game is, like, and let's say I strike out, should I be upset that I struck out or maybe hit a single? No, because I perfected a swing, and everything else is out of my control. So it's like all the out of control things, I'm like trying to control and wasting so much of my own brain power. Like there's just so much stuff I keep finding myself doing, and it is a matter of like perfectionism and like really high expectations. And like I do believe that Wheels to Walking's perception aligns with our successes, but I still, in my own little head, I'm like, we could be doing so much better.
Yeah, you do have a little head.
Yes. If anything, I got
that was my takeaway from all that.
If anything, I got a big head. I got like a 5 head. Or
I mean,
like
you
a
had
4
a
head.
small one
You
and a
don't have
big
that
one
big of
from
a head.
last episode's
Bruh.
thumbnail.
No, your head is not big, bro. You got it on the shortest. You got the headset on the shortest thing.
You should see my forehead, bro.
Just because you have a big forehead does not mean you have a big head in general. Do you know what size hat you wear?
No.
I wear like a 7 1/8, which is like the almost the smallest like fitted hat that they would sell.
Yeah,
like
I don't know.
The smallest I think they normally sell is like a 7 or like just like a 6 7/8 or something like that.
Yeah. Speaking of thumbnails, yo, you guys have been putting in so much effort into these thumbnails. Like EJ's video game fucking thumbnail was.
I didn't even see that one.
No, it was the one with it was like the cyberpunk. Like,
the VR one.
Yeah.
The VR one,
I enjoyed that one a lot too.
Yeah. The main podcast thumbnails. Yes. We've been. I think those are always fun.
Those are just a fun, little
Also,
break.
shout out to AJ for doing the intro for the last workout video.
Yes.
That
That slapped so hard. So many people are like so stoked on that. They're like, yo,
This is a Nike ad.
That's a Nike ad. That's a Gatorade commercial. Like, I'm like, I showed it to Jalila, and she was like, yo, Andrew stepped up his game. And I was like, that's AJ. She goes, that's AJ? And I go, yeah, AJ makes movies.
Appreciate that.
And she was like, get the fuck out of here. I'm like, yeah, dude. Like, he fucking killed it. Like, he fucking killed it.
Yeah, dude. That was a really fun video to make, and didn't take a lot of time to make. It was just overall just, I don't know.
We shot all those scenes in like 5 minutes,
Yeah.
10 minutes.
Yeah, I'd say a full hour, honestly, from all the other shots and stuff that we had to get off to the side, like him on the skateboard and like all the stuff.
I don't know.
Anyway,
I guess I was
we-
setting up stuff, but yeah,
yeah.
it wasn't like you guys spent like so much time
Yeah, and we
shooting
did
that part.
And we did like some cool voiceover stuff.
Oh yeah,
and-
that's true. I meant just the shooting part. But yeah, you're right. You do the voiceover and all that.
But and then we even used it for the ads, which I've been running until probably today. I'm gonna stop running and then start putting a new ad from yesterday's post, because I think a lot of people don't.
Yesterday's post got good engagement.
It was decent, but I haven't been really active on Instagram in a long time, so decent is actually really, really, really good.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
Again, it's a comparison thing, and oh, by the way, I think most of you people on the podcast know this, but I find it so interesting when disabled people, primarily wheelchair users and specifically spinal cord injury, they think when I say temporary, they think I'm talking about my spinal cord injury. They're like, I'm a complete injury, so some things are permanent, bro. And I'm like, I'm paralyzed too. And like, yeah, but you can stand and walk, and you've been getting better at standing and walking. It's not all temporary for all of us. It's only temporary for you. And I'm like,
we're talking about like struggles.
And I'm like, hey, I am not talking about my spinal cord injury. Like, I have a spinal cord injury, but I am not talking about my spinal cord injury. It's just so interesting because it's like, I'm literally talking about like a mindset, like a perspective, like everything from like challenges, difficulties, all the way to like celebrations and gratitude, like to even your life. It's almost like Stoic philosophy. It's like, hey, don't forget that you're going to die one day. Like, live your life to your fullest. Like, appreciate every moment. And then people are like, yeah, but I'm a complete injury, so fuck you. And I'm like, I literally didn't say that. Like, people...
Well, they want to hear what they want to hear sometimes.
Yeah, they will answer back as if I said something I didn't say. And that always chuckles, because I'm like, perception is reality. Like, what they heard...
Speaking of that, actually, you know, it's funny. A couple of episodes ago, we were like kind of debating something. I don't even remember what it was. It wasn't the Addison Rae thing, but it was another thing. It was something else. And I re-listened to it, and I was like, oh, it's funny because now that I'm like listening to ourselves having the conversation, I realized better what you were saying, and how I was responding was how I like thought. It was like what I kind of like, we weren't really opposing, but we were debating as if we were opposing, but I think we had more common ground than we thought in the moment. But we were like, so,
but
like,
that's how we argue.
That's how like politics.
But that's how we are. We argue. We'll be in 90% agreement, but that last 10% we'll fight about for like 4 hours, because we want to make sure that we are both in like exact precise alignment.
Like, remember we argued about the size of this on the shirt,
dude.
We talked about like, okay, it's gonna be like the first thing was like 3 inches, and then we were like,
no,
3.5.
From 10 a.m. to when you came over here at like 3 or 4 with samples, like we were literally just like throwing.
And then we were like, and then at one point I thought you were on the same page with me, and you were like, now that I think about it, I think we need to go 4. And I'm like, oh my God. And I like lost it. Like, I was like, no. It was so funny. But I think we got the size right. I mean, like, I think maybe even tweaking it a tiny bit would be fine. But yeah, I think
we've already got the screen, and I really don't feel comfortable paying more money on something that's not totally being blown out of the water the way I was expecting. No. Keyword expecting it to be.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is life, happiness equals expectations over reality, bro. It's written on your wall.
Are you teaching me some shit that I write on my wall?
It's written on your wall, homie. But yeah, but I feel like we've kind of not beaten it, but we've talked about this kind of stuff for a while. One thing we did want to talk about was yesterday, something crazy. Well,
hang on, you were making a point about something about common ground. There was some point that you were making. That
was really all I was making. Is I think like once you step back, sometimes you think the argument that other people are making is like, you think that people are arguing against you, but that's just what you want to think. Like, that's what you want them to be saying, but really they're not. You know, like maybe sometimes, like, for example, on like political arguments, it's like, well, you're saying you're pro-life, blah, 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 blah. And then like they'll make some argument about like guns or like Black Lives Matter. It's like, that's not what we're arguing about. That's just what you want to argue about. So you're going to spin the argument that way.
Yeah.
You know,
I get what you're saying.
Well, how can you say that you're pro-life when you're not Black Lives Matter? Well, how can you say that you're for freedoms when you don't support guns? Well, how can you say that cops are the only ones that should have guns if you don't believe in cops? You know, like, it's like the argument just keeps going. So
a bunch of red herrings.
You spin it the way that you want the argument to go, because you've had this like argument in your head about how you're going to oppose that person, And like it was like when Jordan Peterson went on BBC and she started just saying all this ridiculous things about him, and it's like, you think that I'm just this like misogynist character, but you haven't even taken the time to actually look into what I've even said. You're just like stereotyping me into this box,
like repeating headlines or whatever,
and saying things that I've never said just because that's the argument that you want to have. Like you want to argue.
I remember that interview.
You want to argue with like this like misogynist person. That's not who I am. But because you want to have that argument, that's how you're spinning this whole conversation.
Was that the one where he went, gotcha?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. And it was funny because she went out of that interview not realizing how terrible of a job she did.
And how much she clearly
and she got a lot of flack for that.
Yeah, she thought she had won. She was like this self-proclaimed feminist, anti-misogynist, pro-woman, and she went on there to like debate him because she had the assumption that he was anti-feminist, anti-woman. So she was like accusing him of things and like asking him questions spun in such a way that was like, you've said that all women are horrible. What do you think about that, sir? And he's like, I think I never said that. Where did you come up with that?
It's just like, well, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, it was really
it's like,
stupid.
as a matter of fact, in my teachings, I talk about how all young boys should respect and love their mothers. Like, what are you saying? Like,
yeah,
it was, yeah, it's like, so your response is to something that they didn't say because you want them.
You have this idealistic antagonist in your head, or you have like the opposite person in your head, and you project it onto like the person that you're having this conversation with. Like, I think a lot of people that are like protesting and things, they think that like anyone who's like saying anything
that might even slightly
questioning,
yeah,
or like, hey, why are you guys protesting? You know, it's like, yo, chill. I was like literally just asking, what are the demands of the protest? Like, I'm not saying that they're not valid. I'm just literally asking, well, Black Lives Matter. It's like, I never said they didn't. I'm just standing here. Like, I'm sorry, I'm not joining the parade right now. But it is just funny, like how you think that like, just because you're not being so, you're not 100% on their side, then you're completely against their side.
I mean, that was kind of the case in 2008 or 2009, the 99% marches and protests and the Occupy Wall Street, that's what they were called, the Occupy Wall Street, and they eventually fizzled and faded out because there was no singleness of purpose, like no individual group, there was no demands, there was no single leader, there was no one that was like, these are the things that we believe and these are the changes that we want to see. Like, no one said that. And I think a very similar issue is happening with BLM, and it also happened with BLM back when the whole Ferguson and Trayvon Martin and Michael Brown stuff went down. There was like all these protests and riots and chaos, and it's like, that's great. What do you guys want? Like who's the leader? Like, who's saying what?
Well, there's a lot of good specific demands this time around. I feel like there's been a lot of like repeating of certain things.
No, I
like
agree.
Arrest the killers of Breonna Taylor. Defund the police. Like a bunch
criminal
of
justice reforms.
Yeah,
etc.
a lot of demands have been made this time around, which is good.
Yeah, but there's like no single entity, single leader, single person, single figurehead.
There's a few major figures that have come out, but it's not like we have like a Martin Luther King.
Yeah, but
something like that.
Exactly. And that's the challenge with stuff like this. It's like,
but I think the weird thing about the 99% thing is like people are mad at the like quote unquote elite and stuff like that. Like the elite. The elite isn't like a club. The elite isn't like it's just a like definition that's kind of subjective. Like, you're in the elite if you're in the 1%. Okay, so if you're a middle class American, you're in 1% of the world.
Yeah,
you're like
elite to the world.
You're elite. Are you mad at all billionaires? So the guy that has $1 trillion, which is 1,000 billion versus like 1 billion, like, are they the same evil? What if you have 999 million? Are you less evil? Like, it's just very weird. And it's like, once you kind of break that down, like, well, there should be no billionaires. So now there's just thousands of people with 999 million. Are they still evil? And then like, oh, well, now you can't have more than this amount of money. It's like, you're never going to create 100% equality on like a monetary level. What's going to qualify it? I do get the fact that like,
that's been
it's kind of crazy to think about that there's people like Jeff Bezos that are, so unbelievably wealthy. It's hard to fathom how wealthy they really are. Like, they could literally spend millions of dollars per day on themselves and never run out of money. Like, that's a very hard concept to grapple with. But and he's figured, he's kind of like won the game, like how else.
Well, I think
I'm not really jealous of him in certain ways.
That's how billionaires exist, in my opinion, is like they have found a solution to a problem and scaled it to the point where there is billions of dollars in cash flow. And I think, honestly, like, that's probably good for society. Yes, it is a individual who
we need people like that.
It is an individual who does hold a lot of power, but it's like, what would life be without Jobs, Gates, Bezos, Musk? Like, what would life be without these? That's just 4. And those are people that are in the public eye. There's a lot of people that aren't in the public eye, like Buffett, for example. Like, there's plenty of people that are doing.
And I'm sure there's a lot of people that are not public figures that we can't name because we just don't even know who they are, but they are existing out there and they're just as powerful and just as wealthy,
Yeah. And depends, and also depends, I think, on your perception of money. Like, if you're the kind of person that's been in poverty your whole life and the only bad stuff that you've experienced is due to the decisions made by
people that have more money than you.
By people that have more money than you, more wealth, more power. And that could be something as simple as like just your manager at work. My manager makes 4 times more than I make, and he tells me what to do, and he tells me what to do all day. It's like, so you think if you obtain money, then you will be evil. So you kind of almost avoid it. It's very, very, very strange.
Yeah, exactly.
But I mean, we talked about this
in the
last
podcast.
Yeah.
You want to switch gears?
Yeah, go ahead and make that.
Yeah, so
make that,
yesterday in Lebanon, so I guess it'll be 2 days ago by the time you're listening to this, there's a giant explosion. You've probably seen the videos by now. It kind of took over social media all yesterday, it seemed like. Yeah, people just sharing all these videos.
Still going hot, yeah.
And, man, I honestly don't think I've seen an explosion like that ever.
I've seen explosions like that on film, like when they're doing nuclear tests in the desert and shit. But I've never seen like in real life in a city with people. Like I've seen detonations like that, yes, but not in that context at all.
Not in a in the middle of the ocean or in the middle of the desert, but in a populated area, I've never seen anything like that. I mean, the last thing I can think of that was that big is like a 9/11 type situation. Where and it wasn't a bomb, but it was a lot of people died. And then you think about, like atomic bombs, like Hiroshima, Nagasaki, that kind of thing. I think the weirdest thing about the situation is there's so much like speculation right now, and me included, of like what happened and who did it, and like, was it an accident? Was it government? Was it an attacking other nation? Was it whatever? I think
there's a lot of questions.
Just like 9/11. We might not ever know the full truth. I don't think we know the full truth about 9/11, but
we definitely know 9/11 was a terrorist attack. We know that for sure. Right? We don't know what this,
I will agree with that.
We don't know
sure.
if this is an accident or an act of terror.
We don't know yet, and it's only been 1 or 2 days.
We don't know anything.
And also, it's not on home soil, so it's really hard to like navigate what's happening there.
It's a developing situation.
I do have a couple of friends that are Lebanese and have been posting about it. And I've been seeing their back and forth, which has been pretty interesting. But I think the main thing to focus on is just like supporting innocent people that like got hurt.
And a lot of people died. Really hard because the world is currently in an economic downturn, an economic crisis, and people don't have money to donate to causes. It's just a fact. And
unless you got that government pension or whatever the hell it's called.
But even still, it's kind of like people just don't have money to donate to anything, even if it is something as terrible and scary and tragic as that.
Like, for example, like there's a lot of industries that are thriving right now. For example, Tony Hawk posted yesterday that Birdhouse Skateboards is having some of the best sales times ever
because everyone's outside skating.
Everyone wants to take up skateboarding because they've got extra time now. Like, there are certain industries that are still killing it, and there are certain industries that would be killing it that aren't. Like, I think saying like no one has money, I don't think that's necessarily true. And the types of people that would donate significant amounts of money aren't hurting that bad.
Yeah,
the people that are hurting are the people that probably wouldn't be able to donate that much anyways.
I would say any
That could be a generalization, but
well, here's just an example. If you own a restaurant, work at a restaurant, chef at a restaurant, any type of food, any in the context of any restaurants, period,
or entertainment,
Like,
I mean, we all know the industries that are suffering right now,
like
but I'm just saying it's not
there
no one has money to donate. There's people with money to donate.
I'm terrible at black and white, but I'm just saying, like, there is a huge number of people that are unemployed right now, like millions and millions and millions and millions and millions. And
totally,
those individuals, whether they were the type to donate or not, just by odds alone, it's kind of difficult. Like, I'm thinking about
hey, Jeff Bezos' ex-wife, thank you. I heard that she donated over $1 billion last week to various causes. That's someone who's very important and could probably make a big difference, because she became a multi-billionaire overnight. Because when they got divorced, she took like 30%. She could have taken 50, and she was like, I don't even want 50. Like, I don't want it. Like, that's unnecessary.
Yeah, I was actually talking to Jessie last night.
She can afford to donate.
And I was saying how I'm going to go for a C-brace trial, but one of the things I'm nervous about is if I really like it, how the hell I'm going to be able to afford it, because it's like $75,000 out of pocket, and my insurance does not cover it. And who the fuck has $75,000 laying around? And she was like, oh, you should do a fundraiser for it. I'm like, no. I'm like, I could pull off 7,500 maybe. She's like, no, you're underestimating it. Like, people like you. Like, you got a good story. Like, you got a big platform, yada, yada, whatever.
And when they know it's something like that valuable or whatever.
Yeah, and I was like, dude, it's just not possible.
Every subscriber donates $1.
I'm like, I can't. I was like, I don't think that's going to happen. She's like, dude, you got to do a fundraiser. You got to do a drive. Blah, blah, blah. Anyway, we started talking about it, and I made that mention. I was like, we're currently in, like, one of the most tragic economic downfalls ever in the U.S. and everywhere in the world. I'm like, people just don't have extra money to be, like, given out to people, but... You make a valid point, and it makes me re-examine my thought, because there are a lot of industries that are not only not suffering. There's a lot of industries that are thriving, that are actually growing, that are
just like anything. There's always 1% that does 99% of the work, and there's always 99% that does 1% of the work. In any fundraiser, there's always people donating $1, $2, $20, $50. And then there's one anonymous fucking donor that literally just does the rest. Like, that always happens. Like, church fundraisers, they're like, yeah, we're 20% of the goal. And then the next week they're like, we had an anonymous donator that matched everyone's donations or whatever, like things like that. So, dude, like, if you started something like that, you never know what can happen. And also, people do GoFundMes all the time, and they don't even have a single audience at all. Like, they're nobodies on, like, social media, and then their GoFundMe goes viral for whatever reason, or, like, whatever. So it's like, there's always weird things, and it's like, oh man, we can't even make 75 grand and we've been trying to make money. How could we come up with 75 grand if we're just asking for it? And it's like, dude, it's because it's for something completely different. It's not just so that, oh, I'm making Richard, like, money. It's like, oh, I'm going to potentially help him, and then, blah, blah, blah. I don't know, but.
Yeah. But
fundraisers are weird because it feels like you're begging, but.
I would much rather work for my money than beg, but if beg.
But here's the thing.
Fundraising
should
helps.
That C-brace cost 75 grand in the grand scheme of the world? Like,
I mean, it's incredibly innovative. It might not exist if it doesn't cost that much money. They had to put millions and millions of dollars of research into it. So
I agree, but I'm just saying, in the grand scheme of the world, if we could pull a bunch of people together and help you pay less for that, that's the same idea with insurance. That's the same idea with it. It's literally pooling all the resources so that people that, like, you put in a little bit of money so that if I do need it one day, blah, blah, blah. I think that's the same idea with a lot of certain things. Like, you can drive down the cost for everyone if everyone, like, pitches in, because you never know when you might not need it. Like, hopefully I won't need insurance, but because everyone subscribes to this idea of insurance, we can, people that end up getting millions of dollars of medical bills or something, that can end up getting paid for because you bought into the idea of, like, insurance. Like, people subscribe to the idea of paying it forward. Like, if I was in a situation where I needed something that cost a ton of money to change my life, maybe I maybe I'd hope that other people would do the same, so I'll donate this time or whatever. I don't know. What goes around comes around.
I definitely know.
I'm not saying that's the way to go with the GoFundMe or something like that, but it's just
I know a lot of people.
What could happen.
You're right. I know a lot of people that do a lot of fundraising for a lot of different reasons, and they do. I mean, they're able to live on it like for a long period of time, like for years, and it's like
Totally.
it's very interesting. But anyway, yeah, back to Explosion.
Lebanon. Yeah, I guess the whole thing of like focusing on like people that got hurt and all that, like. I mean, obviously, you can donate and blah, blah, blah. There's things like that. But I think I guess the main thing, what I meant by that is not necessarily like help the people who are hurt. I think it's more like, yes, you can speculate and all that and, we can try to figure out who did it and what's happening. And that's very fun. I like diving into some of that stuff sometimes. But on the same side, it's like, what, we shouldn't make like that I don't know. Like it's kind of like, oh, Sandy Hook happened and it was really bad, but let's try to figure out if it was a false flag operation and like blah 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 blah. It's like, no, dude, like kids died. Like, it's like the people that protest soldiers' funerals because they don't believe in war. It's like, yes, but now is not the time. It's like, yes, we can talk about conspiracy theories, but like people died and stuff, like in their houses, just doing nothing. People at the mall, people in restaurants, people just in their cars, like died because of this explosion or are having like severe injuries because of this explosion. And it's like, it's kind of rude to like start. I don't know when the right time is. It's always like a weird thing of like, oh, too soon, bro, too soon. But I don't know.
And
it's weird to start speculating on stuff and like when I guess people are still hurting and it's going to take a long time to recover. And the most fucked up thing is that it was an explosion on the port where things are imported, things come in.
Yeah,
it's in some of the worst economic times of Lebanon. So it's like, I don't know if people are going to be able to get things as easily.
Yeah, I definitely enjoyed. Listen to me, enjoyed the multitude of perspectives. I mean, people on a jet ski, people on a boat, people on a high rise, people on the road. And you could tell like it. This is the story from the state media, and Lebanon, Beirut, whatever, is a dictatorship. So let's just remember, they say that it was a fireworks facility, which my thing is like, why would they regularly store fireworks near the port?
I don't know.
And there was a fire, and the fireworks caught on fire, and then the fire spread and reached another storage unit where they had confiscated some sodium nitrate off of a ship and just kind of left it there. And sodium nitrate is an extremely volatile, extremely explosive chemical. If you guys have seen Breaking Bad, at the final scene of the first season, when Walter White goes into Tuco's lair and throws that little rock at him and it boom and explodes, I'm pretty sure that's sodium nitrate, at least from what I remember from
this fictional show.
From the fictional show, yeah. So sodium nitrate is massively explosive, and I can think of so many problems.
It's similar to kryptonite, I think.
I mean, I think of it in so many ways. It's like, why would they store such a volatile chemical in a place, period? Why would they store it near fireworks? Why are fireworks being stored, explosives being stored at this facility? Like, there are way too many questions, and I think, honestly, most conspiracies, most disasters are just like, I mean, you look at Chernobyl, right? It's like, it's a combination of just a ton of bad decisions over time that lead up to a singular event.
You look at the global pandemic, like why weren't we preparing for something like this? Why didn't we have a backup stash of masks in case of something like this? Why didn't we have this? Why didn't we have the infrastructure for this? Because we're a society that wants to put a Band-Aid on a problem instead of trying to prevent the problem.
Yeah, there's a lot of questions when it comes to so many fucking things. And
the weird thing about it is that the shockwave was so crazy. Like, you literally can see like the big explosion and everyone's filming and they're like, whoa, and then all of a sudden you just and it's just and you're just like, oh my gosh, I can't imagine like all the glass shattering and things like that. You gotta think too, like, hey, why do we make so much shit out of glass, by the way? Like, the most breakable thing. Like, I know that it's, like, useful for windows, but, like, come on. Stop making shit out of glass. Like, hey, why is my phone back glass? It breaks.
I don't know.
Make it plastic. That doesn't break.
Yeah, it was.
I don't know.
And I don't know. It's just it could have been way worse, but it also could have been so much better.
Did you see the after picture of where I took a screenshot of this. Check this out. So that's the building where the explosion happened, and that is it now.
Oh, dude, there's a straight hole in the ground where I knew it was near a power facility because I remember seeing all the sparks.
We'll put this on the screen for people.
All the sparks and stuff.
The thing that's weird is
that building is just, oh man, that is a cave. Wow, that's insane, dude.
And it's
just at the tip.
If you think about it, an explosion doesn't just go up; it also goes down. So that building literally went into the water.
It goes down and out. It goes
man, now it's really down and out.
I mean, an explosion is a circle.
Yeah, pretty much. It's a sphere. A sphere. But yeah, it is really weird. But we have 10 more minutes. I think we can squeeze in this last little thing.
We totally can. And I just wanted to interject that I think aliens dropped a bomb into the facility and that lit the fireworks, which then hit the sodium nitrate because aliens want to take over the world.
And actually, I was gonna propose that. I was gonna say, okay, so if it was human error or an invading or an enemy country that did this somehow and started the fire, however it might be, we can kind of grapple with that mentally. But if it was an alien type thing,
because
that wouldn't be too far fetched.
Because an alien is a hyper intelligent species that
we don't know. But yeah,
if they're making it all the way, if you're doing interplanetary, shut the fuck up. Yes, if you're right. You have to be extremely intelligent as a species, and that means that they have the ability to collect data. Right, they have the ability to understand, and they're like, oh, that little one area has some explosives next to some explosives, and all we'd have to do was figure out how to put one little place on fire and then everything will go. But all intelligence agencies have the potential to collect that much data. So it could be
maybe the government's lying and just saying it was, oh yeah, that building was full of explosives. That's why it exploded. Scratches nervously. When
we are opening up an investigation to look into it.
Yeah, the reason why that building exploded is because it had explosives in it. Yeah, that's what we'll tell them for now. AJ, yeah, it was a fireworks explosive.
AJ, what was it you put in the group chat? You're like, we've opened up an investigation and we'll get back to you never.
Basically, I said absolutely nothing. It's this long sentence.
It was a long sentence of absolutely nothing. Are you looking it up right now?
I was gonna look it up. Dude, I'm not gonna lie. I DM a lot on Instagram. I had to scroll for a minute. I'm not just saying that because I'm I'm popular. I use Instagram for DMing a lot. I mean, he goes, something definitely happened. We are not 100% sure, but we will definitely look into it and see what happened and get back to you never. Everyone liked that. And I said, haha, we have investigated ourselves and found ourselves blameless. Case closed.
Case closed.
You should watch the video Gus Johnson did about investigations. It's pretty funny.
Yeah.
But anyways, the proposition I'm making is based on statements that the New York Times put out about a Pentagon hearing. Basically, they were saying that they have the alleged thing is that they have possession of I'll find the exact quote, but it's basically they have possession of spacecrafts that were not from this Earth, which is kind of interesting because you're so what are you saying?
Yeah. My thought was that, it was an official paper that was released by the Pentagon, and that wasn't the case. There was in a hearing, a person mentioned something, and I don't know what he said. I didn't look into it. I don't have the transcripts, but I think
They also said the Pentagon's UFO unit is planning on making some findings public, which is interesting. So basically,
wasn't Bob Lazar hyped about this?
Yeah, Bob Lazar is definitely hyped about this. He basically was saying that, wow, I can't believe that the government is finally kind of saying that I was correct, because he's said for so many years that in Area 51 he had access to spacecrafts and things that were not made on this Earth, and all this crazy stuff. You can go listen to podcasts and all these things with Bob Lazar.
Bob Lazar on Joe Rogan was very interesting. I would say probably do that first before you watch the documentary because
I haven't watched the documentary.
Me neither. Because the documentary, like all documentaries, are persuasive in nature.
But the interesting thing about Bob Lazar's story is that it has been very, very, very consistent over the many, many, many years that he's been telling the story. And that is very uncommon with people that make shit up. Because they always will end up, someone will call them out and say, oh, well, what about it? Oh, well, that's actually, you're right. It was a lapse in my judgment. It was because of this. I'm sorry. Guys, I will have to correct the record. It's because of this. You know, like, he's always had a very consistent story. And even when people push back on him, he's like, I'm just telling you what I saw. And the thing about, there's also, like, pilots and things that have seen, like, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm not an alien person. I'm just telling you the thing that I saw that day was an unidentified flying object that went up and down and did things that physics it's not possible with normal earthly physics. Never seen anything like that.
But I guess the thing about physics is like it's a universal law. Like physics exists everywhere.
Okay, so this is what the quote was in the article. Pentagon on UFOs. They are off-world vehicles not made on this earth. And also earlier this year in like April, they also said things that they were going to release footage and things about their UFO unit.
I mean, if there was a time to release it, it might as well be now because everyone's caught up with Rona, civil unrest, riots, government overreach, election. Everyone's so caught up in like everything that's going on right now that oh, cool, aliens are here. Dope. Don't care. You know, like
I think if I was a head of state or something like that, and they said, okay, Mr. President, it's kind of crazy, but we found aliens. There's aliens that have been visiting Earth. I think I would say, okay, well, until we know exactly what they want and what their demands are and what they're doing, what are they doing? They're just coming in and checking it out? Why do we need to tell anyone? You know, like, that'd be like,
collecting intelligence.
There was a guy yesterday on the White House lawn that was looking in our blinds. We don't know anything about him yet, but we'll tell you more later. It's like, no, just tell us more when you know more. Like, so it's a very weird situation where we feel like yo, are there aliens? And we're like, we cannot confirm nor deny type of shit. And it's like, just tell us if there's aliens in there. That we're gonna that was the whole thing about Storm Area 51 was, that type of thing. And I think a lot of that was definitely brought on by that Bob Lazar podcast with Rogan. I mean, people underestimate the size of his audience, but
I think there was the Storm Area 51 meme came before Bob Lazar, didn't it?
No, it was like, I think the Storm Area 51
it was like a Facebook group.
Was a Facebook group. I think it might have been started, that group might have been started before the Bob Lazar podcast, but it definitely picked up a lot more steam afterwards because the event day was set for like months in advance of when they first like started the group or whatever. There's a lot of fake, like, funny groups like that, but this one got just so out of hand. But anyways, I guess the debate that we're trying to have in the next 4 minutes is, would that actually change life for you? Like, how would you react knowing if the government went out and said, all right, guys, we've been hiding this for a really long time, but we think it's the right time to say it. We've been contacted by aliens and there's a good chance they're coming back or something.
I'd be like, okay, what do they want? You know, like,
what if we don't know? But like I guess it'd be kind of the same as like, okay, guys, what if like someone convinced you like today, it was like, ghosts are real or something like that. Like, I don't know how I'd react. I don't know, would that shatter my entire universe? Would I like completely, like, I don't know.
Does my day-to-day change?
I don't know. No. But would you, I don't know. Like, it's so weird to think about. Like, it's kind of like the Noah's Ark type situation. It's like God's telling us like the world's going to flood. Are you going to build the ark, or are you going to just like carry on and just like, I don't believe you or whatever? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know,
man.
Like, it's so weird. There's so uncertainty in regular life that we ignore all the time that maybe I wouldn't do it either.
I'm more interested in what actually was said in that Pentagon hearing. Like, I wonder maybe if it was something like, we found objects that appear to be made from materials that are not found on this earth. And we know that there are materials.
That's not a crazy statement, though. That's not a crazy statement if they found materials. They said off-world vehicles not made on this earth.
That was what
that's what the quote says, but it might not be accurate. But
it might be a headline or
that's
something.
A little bit that seemed like
iridium, for example.
We
Iridium
found
isn't earthly.
elements that are not earthly versus off-world vehicles not made on this earth are very different statements. Saying that you found something that's not from this earth is not crazy because asteroids and meteors and we've been to the moon. Those things exist. We know there's things that are not from this earth as far as materials. But when you say an off-world vehicle not made on this earth, that's a very big stretch to misconstrue someone's words.
A couple of thoughts, I think. One is, where were these found? Secondly, why, like, if they're an unidentified object, why are you automatically assuming off-world? Why can't you just assume that it was made in a different country? Like,
well, because we know that the elements don't exist or something. Like, if it was like a vehicle that you're like, that's a spaceship, and then you test all the elements and something, you go, we don't know what the fuck this is. I'd say that that's like, we know that's not just made in another country.
You'd be surprised what elements can be made in a lab, especially elements that.
What if it's an element that's not even like you go down to a microscopic level and you're like, these aren't even atoms.
Something like a dark matter, maybe like some type of compressed
I don't fucking
element.
know.
I mean,
we only think of like things we're like, matter is made up of atoms, but what if it's literally something that's not made of atoms that just exists?
That's the challenge of being a human. And
like, you go down to a microscopic level and you're like, this thing's 100% solid. There's no atoms. It's just an object.
Yeah, I mean, that's the whole challenging part about being a human is like we only have a certain amount of senses to detect things. Like, there very well could be a whole another universe intertwined with us right now that we know nothing about because we have no ability to like engage with it or measure it or mess with it or like.
I mean, there basically is. Radio and Wi-Fi exists.
I'm more talking like on a universal level, but yes, that is also true. I'm talking about like dark matter or like cosmic microwave background or Earth's magnetic field or like things that are in the universe. Because like we on this Earth think we're significant.
But we know about those things.
We think we're significant, but we're not. We're literally a speck of dust flying through space. Like, we're a speck of dust on a speck of dust flying through space. Like, we're the most insignificant thing in the entire universe. Like, we do not matter. So to think that we know everything is silly. We know a lot, but we also know
in the grand scheme of things, we don't know anything.
We don't know anything. We don't know.
And that's our time, ladies and gentlemen. We don't know anything, and we're a worthless speck of dust on a speck of dust floating through a speck of dust.
I hope aliens are real, but I don't think they are.
Yeah. I think it's probably.
I don't think they're here. They definitely exist in the universe. The universe is infinite. Like, come on.
I wouldn't be surprised if we've been visited by aliens. I think aliens probably exist somewhere. I don't know if they've been here. But it'd be cool if they did.
Follow us on places.
And buy the Sand Dune collection. You got 2 more days. Peace out.
Peace.